Uh-oh.
Yep.
It went all the way up there.
Oh, it is. It's up there
Where is it?
Under the
by that chair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure, make me bend.
Keep doing it, then you can do it when you get my age. Otherwise, you can't.
No, I need some recovery days.
Oh,
In between,
So I can
right?
do it when I get back to your house next week. Yeah.
I understand.
All right, let me get to Gad. I'm going to review a little bit from what we saw. This has just been very enlightening to me to look at the tribes and some of the blessings and some of the lack of the blessings. Who gets to stand on the mount to curse and who gets to stand on the mount to bless? Who gets to camp next to each other? Okay, we got.
Joni, here's last week's history of the tribes of Israel. I grabbed another one for Claire, but she's not going to do the study, so
Oh, thank you so much.
I didn't realize I had to. I forgot I had to. It's going back.
There's Gad.
Before I forget.
Oh, thank you.
If I forget, it'll never come back to me.
I don't give up my money.
Right? It's like unfound money. All right, let's pray. Lord, thank you so much just for your word and for the treasures that we get to glean out of it. I just pray that we glean from one another and that you would just show us beautiful things in your word that we can apply to our lives. I pray for Heidi right now, and I just ask that you would heal her arm quickly. I just pray that the surgeons found exactly what they needed to do to her arm to restore her strength and use of that arm. And I just pray for Larry and Patty as they are traveling to Williamsburg, that you would give them safe travel. And I pray for Michelle as she is homesick, that you would just heal her body. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Okay, who's the largest tribe? Do you remember that?
Judah.
Judah. What tribe was David from?
Aren't we all smart?
Judah.
Judah.
Judah, because all the kings have to come from Judah now. Okay?
Yes.
Because, well, we'll get there, because the one tribe is where the bunch started, and that was the only king that ever came from that tribe. Okay, do you remember some of the handmaids' names that had all the
You
children?
mean Bilhah
Right.
and
What was that? Zilpah and Bilhah.
Bilhah.
Bilhah. Zilpah, Bilhah, and then the wives are
Well, Rachel and Leah.
Rachel and Leah. And who had the most sons?
Leah.
She's not really given credit to be mother of the tribes of Israel, but she might as well be. Okay. All right, let's go to Gad. We went to, you all have the handout, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go through a few of them, remember. I'm not going to go through all of them. Zilpah, Leah's handmaid, bore Jacob a son, and Leah declared, "What luck!" So she named him Gad. Again, from Dennis Prager, God appears as the name of the God of good fortune and good luck. This pagan divinity is also mentioned in Isaiah 65:11. Was Leah an idol worshiper?
Originally, I believe she was.
Right.
Because didn't she take her idols with
She
her?
did when she left her dad Laban. So this is not a surprise. Jacob's blessing, it says, Gad shall be raided by raiders, but he shall raid at their heels. Now look at their symbol. It's a tent, like a battlefield. It has nothing to do with the blessing. And I'm going to read every spy that had the bad report. Since God decided to record their name, we're going to name their name. Gul, I guess it is, son of Maki, was the spy that brought a bad report from the tribe of Gad. The sons of Reuben and the son of Gad had an exceedingly large number of livestock, and remember we said that's why they wanted to stay on the east side of Jordan. Okay, what was the context of "Be sure your sins will find you out"? because that's a verse we all talk about and everything, but context was,
Was that in reference to whether or not they would go across and fight for their
Yes.
brothers to help them settle their land?
yes, exactly.
Yes.
Because they said, if you keep your promise and you come across the Jordan and you fight, great. If you don't, sure, your sins will find you out. But they kept their promise. Numbers 32:33. Do you remember these names, Sihon and Og?
Where's a hog today, actually?
Right?
Yeah.
Big, huge kings that were conquered.
Hungry.
Very evil. But that kingdom and that land should never have been like that, because that land was given to Gad. Numbers 34 says, no leader from the tribe of Gad was assigned to help a portion of the land with Eleazar and Joshua. So I was like, but why? Because their land is on the other side. They're not the half tribe. Their land is on the other side of Jordan. So that's why they don't need to portion land, because they got it. Moses' blessing. Blessed is the one who enlarges Gad. He lies down as a lion and tears the arm, also the crown of the head. Then he provided the first part of him for himself, for there the ruler's portion was reserved, and he came with the leaders of the people. He executed the justice of the Lord and his ordinances with Israel. So when I'm reading that, I'm thinking he would have like the weights for a lawyer. Instead, he has a tent as his symbol. He's connected with the son of Merari, okay, for land. Interesting that Merari is here, but Gad is here. But he gets land from Gad. The Levites do. Sorry. This is interesting. 1 Chronicles 12:8. This is the tribe of Gad, the men described. They came over to help David, but the mighty men of valor, men trained for war, who could handle shield and spear, and whose faces were like the faces of lions. And they were as swift as the gazelles on the mountains. Very interesting. I'm like, what does the face of face of a lion is scary. Roaring, right? It's like, these are rulers, but who has the lion as their symbol? Judah does, not Gad. And they're swift as the gazelles on the mountains, so these guys could run. 1 Chronicles 12:14, these of the sons of Gad were captains of the army. He who was least was equal to 100, and the greatest to 1,000. These guys are mighty men of that. I mean, you want them backing you up. In the war, one guy's like 100. Another 100 is like having 1,000 in your army.
When you think about where their land is, though,
Yes.
they left themselves exposed. Anybody who wants to get to the other tribes has to come through them.
That's true. That's
Good
true.
thing they were like this.
Good thing. And if you have the face of a lion, you kind of go, do I fight him or not?
Yeah.
Right. And he can run as fast as a gazelle, which means I can't outrun him. Think twice. This is Gad. Now, they are mentioned in Revelation. The diamond is their stone. The map just disappeared. There it is. Look at Gad. This is really big. Really, really big. Again, they're on the east side of the Jordan.
Like you said, it's also at the Jordan, not at the seas. So if
Right.
somebody was going to try to cross, they'd cross where Jordan is, where Dad is.
Right.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's just, you want these guys said, yeah, we'll come over and fight. Well, if you have a face of a lion, you can run like a gazelle. The rest of them going, good. That means I can probably get my land if you're helping me with my land. Okay, the tribe, we got that. Now we go to Asher. Again, Zilpah, Leah's maid, bore a second son, and Leah declares, what fortune, meaning women will deem me fortunate, so she named him Asher. Don't forget now, Leah gets the name of him, not the mama. Then of his sons, this I don't know why, I'll get to that in a minute. These are the names of the sons. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4 sons and 1 sister, 1 daughter. These she bore to Jacob, 16 persons. So when we read that, remember, they're getting the sons, kids, they're putting them all together. That's why they say persons, not sons. Asher's bread shall be rich, and he shall yield royal dainties. What are royal dainties, right? I don't know.
Sounds like he's a baker.
That's what I thought. So what do you think their symbol should be?
Bread?
A bread,
Right? Yeah.
right? No, but it is olive oil. So that goes with bread,
Right.
you know, and then the tree. So
Right.
I could do that. Go down to Numbers 13:13. Sether, the son of Michael, brought up bad report of the land. And then they name them on 26:24, the sons of Asher according to their families, Imnah, Ishvi, and Berea. Why did they skip Ishvi? Now he only has 3 sons. I don't know. Did one die? That's a possibility. But I don't know. He stands on the Mount Ebal for curses. And then Moses' blessing. Of Asher he said, more blessed than sons is Asher. May he be favored by his brothers, and may he dip his foot in oil. Your locks will be iron and bronze, and according to your days, so will your leisurely walk be. So tree and fruit, and we got the bread, we got the oil, but his symbol is the tree. So I don't know, bread of life? Could be, I don't know.
Is it an olive tree for the oil?
Oh, is it? It didn't say. The symbol of the tree, I don't know. Maybe it is an olive tree, which would make sense for the olive oil,
Yeah.
which you have to have to make bread. At least I do.
Do you know the symbol of bathing their feet in oil?
No. But it takes, now what does it make you think of? Oil on the feet,
Softening them because they're
Yes.
so hard.
Yeah.
right? It also takes me to the perfume that the woman put on
The
Jesus'
alabaster.
feet. Because it was of great worth, and she spent all of that on Jesus' feet. So it has to be
And the
some
oil
symbol of
perfume.
honor of some kind. Asher is up here on the north.
Generally, when they anoint the head.
True. But
Yeah.
she did his feet. And then she got ridiculed for it.
By the treasurer, who was concerned about money.
That's right, by the treasurer. Just gonna say that.
The money version. That's right.
Yep.
The sons of Gershon, now do you remember who Gershon is?
Moses's.
Moses, one of Moses' sons, yes.
Sorry.
Okay, they received 13 cities from the family tribe of Issachar, Asher, he's grouped in there. And then they named the cities, okay? Judges 131 at the top of the next page. Asher did not drive out the inhabitants of Akko. Now, when we read Joshua and go into Judges, we're going to read that more often. Then they completely drove out. It's just the saddest thing. Or the inhabitants of Sidon, or of Alab, or of Aksib, or of Helba, or of Afka, or of Rahab. I was like, do you have to name them all? Yeah. They had to name them all. That's a lot of people that they needed to run out, but they didn't drive any of them out. Deborah's song, Asher came up to meet, Asher sat at the seashore and remained by its landings. Now his stone is onyx, but Asher is on the seashore. Okay? So when she says they remained at the seashore, that's not a good thing. That means you didn't come up. You just stayed there. I'm sorry, it says they did come up to meet Gideon and to fight the Midianites. So they helped him. Now, 1 Chronicles 7:30, Ishva's back in there as one of his sons. This is where people go, there's contradictions in the scripture. Well, there's got to be a reason why that wasn't put in there. And I'm not sure why it was, but anyway. 2 Chronicles 30:10, couriers. Now, this is the first time this is mentioned. We will mention this again when we go to Ephraim, Manasseh, and Zebulun, because, again, this is a comment on them. Couriers from King Hezekiah. Do you remember from our kings and prophets, was Hezekiah a good king or a bad king?
Is he the one that was given more days because he?
No.
It's like Hezekiah was good, though.
He was very
He was good.
He was very good. He were going throughout the land, inviting Israel to come up and worship the Lord so that he would have compassion on them. And the couriers passed from city to city throughout the country of Ephraim, Manasseh, and as far as Zebulun. But they laughed them to scorn and mocked them. Now we can't stop at verse 10. Because verse 11 says, nevertheless, some men of Asher, Manasseh, and Zebulun humbled themselves and came to Jerusalem. Who was left out there? Eve did not. Right. And from the tribe of Asher, there's 12,000. Okay? So we think of Asher way up there by Dan, and just some of Manasseh there's on the east. The other ginormous is on the west. This tribe included King David's list of chief rulers, possibly indicating that by the time of David, the tribe had lost its significance because they're not in there. Again, a sad report on a tribe. The prophetess Anna, who recognized the infant Jesus. Do you remember her standing there on the Anna and who was the priest? Simeon, thank you. They knew this is Messiah. Simeon says, I can die now. I've seen Messiah just as God promised him. She was from the tribe of Asher. All right, Issachar. Genesis 30. God heeded Leah, and she conceived and bore him a fifth son. And she said, God has given me my reward for having given my maid to my husband. So she named him Issachar. When we're looking at lineage, usually the firstborn is where they start going with the sons. So this is why in 46:13 they list Tola, and then we'll come back to him. 49:14, Issachar is a strong-boned ass. So see what his symbol is? The ass. There he is. Donkey and the sun and the moon. He is a strong-boned ass crouching among the sheepfolds. Then we go to Numbers 13:7, because this is the guy that brought the bad report. Egal, the son of Joseph, brought a bad report. This is not Joseph the tribe. This is just another Joseph among many Josephs. He's assigned Mount Gerizim to bless the people. And Moses' blessing says, and Issachar, rejoice in your tents. They will call peoples to the mountain. There they will offer righteous sacrifices, for they will draw out the abundance of the seas. Doesn't that make sense? And the hidden treasures of the sand. Now the sons of Gershon. So we get, I love how that goes. The sea. Here's Issachar over here on the east with Judah and Zebulun. Judah's giant, remember. And they have to all camp right there. Giant. Okay, and then his stone is chrysolite. And here he is. Right in there. So do you think they're talking about the sea, Mediterranean, the Jordan River, or the Red Sea that he's going to pull all his stuff from? Because, his symbol's like the fish. I would think.
I'd say the Red Sea.
Yeah, I would think too, because otherwise I think he would be over there with Asher. And he isn't. I would think that would be Asher's symbol, but it isn't. And again, this is Moses' blessing. So he knows where everybody's supposed to go when they apportion the land. Deborah's song, the princes of Issachar were with Deborah, as was Issachar, so was Barak. Into the valley they rushed at his heels. After Abimelech died, Tola, because he was the firstborn, okay, arose to save Israel. Now, what book of the Bible are we in there on that one?
Judges.
So he's a judge. And he lived in Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. He judged Israel 23 years, and then he died and was buried in Shamir. So the judges seem to be able to come from whatever tribe. It just doesn't matter. 1 Kings 15, Baasha, son of Ahijah. Now, we read these in our Kings and Prophets. This guy should be ringing a little bit of a bell. The house of Issachar conspired against Nadab, the son of Jeroboam, king over Israel, and struck him down at Gibbethon, which belonged to the Philistines, while Nadab and all Israel were laying siege to Gibbethon. Is Jeroboam a good king or a bad king? Do you remember? Because you had Jeroboam and Rehoboam. And we always said, Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Very wicked. Wicked, wicked, wicked. Very bad. Never wanted to follow him. So who killed him? Baasha, who was from the tribe of Issachar. Okay? Baasha killed him, and he reigned in his place. As soon as he was king, he struck down all the household of Jeroboam. He did not leave to Jeroboam any person's alive until he had destroyed them, according to the word of the Lord, which he spoke by his servant Ahijah the Shilonite, and because of the sins of Jeroboam. So who is God using to execute judgment? That's a lot of killing.
Yeah.
Totally strike out somebody's whole family. We can attribute that to Issachar, and that was God's judgment on this evil in Israel. Okay? Sons of Gershon come from our given land. And then 1 Chronicles 12:32. This so fits with what the judge did. It says, of the sons of Issachar, men who understood the times with knowledge of what Israel should do. Their chiefs were 200, and all their kinsmen were of their command. What a commentary. They knew what to do, and they had knowledge, and they did it. Everybody needs that tribe within them. That's for sure. 2 Chronicles 30:18, remember King Hezekiah. He's inviting everybody up to the Jerusalem, Passover, everything's been restored. A multitude of people, even many from Ephraim, Manasseh, Issachar, and Zebulun, had not purified themselves yet. They ate the Passover otherwise than prescribed. So they're eating judgment upon themselves, even though they are executing judgment. And they're in the Revelation mention. Don't think there was anything else I want to pull out on them. Zebulun. Okay, number 10. God has given me a choice gift. This is Leah again, but she has it, not her handmaid. This time my husband will exalt me, for I have borne him 6 sons. So she named him Zebulun. Last, she bore him a daughter and named her Dinah. Now, this is what Dennis Prager comments on. One would think that by now Leah would have realized that no number of sons could induce her husband to fall in love with her. Remember, she was given in marriage, and he thought it was Rachel. And it was Leah.
He worked 7 years for her.
7 years for her. And he's like,
He worked 14 years.
He worked 14 because
for
he had
Rachel,
one another
right?
thing, Rachel.
Right? It's like, nothing you can do can make this man fall in love with you because he loves Rachel.
Right.
It is a fact of life that what evokes romantic love is somewhat mysterious, but whatever it is, it cannot be manipulated or controlled by human action. Sometimes love can be rekindled when it has faded over time and with life's vagaries, but for that to happen, it has to have been there in the first place. Throughout history, people have tried to make others love them, all to no avail. Such efforts guarantee only frustration and heartache, and should be consciously avoided. One of the keys to happiness is to accept reality. And then he says in this regard, it's very applicable with the serenity prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. Sad. Now she has Zebulun. Jacob's blessing says, interesting, there's only 2 mentions of him in Genesis. He's born, and then he gets blessed. That's Zebulun in Genesis. shall dwell by the seashore. He shall be a haven for ships, and his flank shall rest on Sidon. Again, the person that brings the bad report is Numbers 13:10, Gadiel. Deuteronomy 27:13, he's assigned Mount Ebal for curses. And then there's Numbers 33:18 to 19, which is Moses' blessing, which is really, really short, because then he's grouped with Issachar. Rejoice, Zebulun, in your going forth. And then he goes into Issachar in your tents. Okay? The sons of Merari are assigned with them. So he has a ship. So now one of the things, Zebulun is going to be on the sea, right? Because he has a ship. Great. No. He's the emerald. See where Zebulun is? Totally landlocked. Right? I like the, that's what I'm doing. I'm like, what? I don't understand it. But sometimes he's looking up these tribes makes me question more than I ever learned. I'm like, how can he be so many seas when he can't even get there? He's totally landlocked.
Because he was with, it says here, he and Issachar.
That's true. He's grouped with them.
Right,
So maybe they are fishermen together.
right.
Possible. But he shall dwell by the seashore. Okay. I don't know. A haven for ships. His flank shall rest on Sidon. So, of course, then I want to go, okay, now where's Sidon?
Yeah.
I don't see Sidon either. Because if he's going to flank it, one of the sides is going to be up next to the city of Sidon. But again, more questions than I had answers. Gadiel, no, I went down there. Sons of Merari. Judges 1:30. Zebulun did not drive out the inhabitants of Kitron or the inhabitants of Nahal. So the Canaanites lived among them, but they became forced labor to them. So they made them their slaves. They didn't drive them out, but they made them their slaves. Deborah's song says, and from Zebulun those who wield the staff of office. So it doesn't say that these guys have a lion face or they run like the gazelle. Maybe these guys were gifted in administration. Judges, Elon the Zebulunite, judged Israel 10 years. Here's a judge again from another tribe. He died and was buried at Aijalon. Sons of Merari were given cities within Zebulun. 1 Chronicles 12:33. They supported David, 50,000 from Zebulun, who could draw up in battle formation with all kinds of weapons of war, and they helped David with an undivided heart. So now you have guys that have faces of lions, they can run like the gazelle, and this tribe, they can make an army formation just like that. That's a talent. The marching band, it's like, you gotta be taught how to do that. It's like, I follow this guy. Those guys, formation, we're ready to go. You want them in your army as well. 2 Chronicles 30:10, again, King Hezekiah is saying, come. Zebulun, again, some of them laughed them to scorn and mocked them, and thank you, Lord, for verse 11. Nevertheless, some of the men of Zebulun humbled themselves, and they came to Jerusalem. Now, don't miss that picture. Some of your neighbors laughed at them so bad they were scorned. In the midst of that, some men went, he's right. We need to go. And it's not like you can sneak out and go to Jerusalem. Why are you going there? They literally humbled themselves and left. There was no secret that they left. These guys scorning. Doesn't say the guys that were scorning changed their minds. Okay, so standing up for what was right, that took a lot of guts. And again, they served David with an undivided heart. They are part of the guilty ones that had not purified themselves in eating Passover, otherwise than prescribed. Isaiah 9:1 says, there will be no more gloom for her who was in anguish. In earlier times, he, meaning God, treated the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali with contempt. But later on, he shall make it glorious. by the way of the sea. Again, on the other side of the Jordan, Galilee of the Gentiles. Now they do say Galilee is a sea. I don't know. Maybe that's the sea that he's talking about and not the Mediterranean. I don't know. And again, they're mentioned in Revelation. All right, now here we get to Joseph. I think that's all I wanted to. No, that was a cool fact too. I did not put that in your notes. Jesus began his ministry in Galilee, which is the land of Naphtali and Zebulun.
Yes.
He began his ministry in that little place. That's pretty cool. All right, Joseph. Lots of stuff on Joseph, as you can imagine. God remembered Rachel. God heeded her and opened her womb. Now, I love Dennis Prager's explanation of this because you know God does not forget. So it's not like he can, oh, yeah, I better do that. That's not what that means. And because Dennis knows the Torah so much, he says when the Torah describes God as remembering, it does not mean God had previously forgotten. It means God has decided to act. Often, from a human perspective, at long last, but still, he's decided to act. He hasn't, oh, yeah. Now I'm like, I want to write that in my Bible, so every time I go, God remembered, I'm like, this is really what it means. That English word. The Torah explicitly states it was God who opened Rachel's womb, lest there be any suspicion that the mandrakes were responsible. Remember, she wants to buy mandrakes from Reuben, I think it is. She conceived and bore a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. So she named him Joseph, which is to say, may the Lord add another son for me. So she's not content with just the one. It's like, okay, he opened my womb, so make sure you give me another one. Not just this one. So I'm going to name him Joseph. Genesis 33. This is where Jacob is coming to meet Esau. And he's afraid of Esau because they did not part well. So he thinks Esau's probably going to kill him. So this is how he lines up his family. He put the maids and their children first. That means his firstborn is up there. Okay? Zilpah and Bilhah. Then Leah and her children next. And then Rachel and Joseph last. We've got favoritism going on already. He knows what favoritism is like. But here he is doing it. Genesis 37:2. We know that Rachel died early. After she had Benjamin, she died in childbirth. Okay? So at 17, Joseph does not have his birth mother, we'll call her. He tended the flocks with his brothers. This is what Dennis Prager says. Rachel had died, and the motherless Joseph was placed in the care of his older brothers, who were expected to look after him, as a helper to the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. And Joseph brings bad reports about his brothers to their father, which really makes them just love him. No. Then, favoritism continues. Israel loved Joseph best of all his sons, for he was the child of his old age, and Jacob is the one that made his ornamental tunic. That was interesting. His brothers hated him because of the favoritism and could not speak a friendly word to him. I cannot imagine being that kid. I can't imagine being the kid in that family where your brothers can't even speak a nice word. They can't even say hello, good morning. They can't do that. They just have to walk by. Otherwise, that's his whole life. This is what Dennis Prager says. The Hebrew word translated here as friendly, so shalom, could be literally translated as of peace. So they couldn't speak of peace to him. What happened to Jacob's family is one of the most destructive things that could happen to a family. Family members either not speaking civilly to one another or not speaking to each other at all. This breakdown in communication enables family members to demonize one another, or it's the end result of demonization, as is in many cases of one parent alienating a child from the other parent after divorce. But this is what enabled Joseph's brothers to contemplate murdering him, or selling him into slavery without speaking a single word to him. This was already festering, so they had no problem treating him like they did. This had
I
been
always
happening.
wonder, Joseph kind of reminds me of my brother that has Asperger's, like high level autism, just for the fact that like the whole social thing, like he still brags about stuff knowing his brothers hate him, right? Like most of us would think, hey, they already don't like me. I'm not going to sit there and tell everybody that they're going to bow down to me, right?
Right, can't
But
you
it's
connect
like
the dots? Don't
this
do
is
that
that
anymore?
whole connection, you know, like
This is it.
every time I read it, it reminds me of my brother. But it's very high functioning Asperger's, but you know,
Right.
like it's kind of that social missing thing there.
Totally.
But at the
Just
same
doesn't
time,
get
he's
it.
the kind of person that can always see the positive in everything.
Right,
Which
and, you
also
know-
going through Joseph's life kind of makes sense too, because he still sees the positive even with. all
And he's
that that's
17.
happened. Yeah.
He's a boy, Jewish boy, at 17. So we know how that goes. There's a lot of growing up between 17 and we'll say 25. You know, we'll just put it there. So he tells him a dream. He has two dreams. He tells his brothers, I was binding sheaves in the field, and when suddenly my sheaves stood up and remained upright, then your sheaves gathered and bowed down low to my sheep. Did he have to interpret the dream? Yeah, no, they know exactly what he's talking about. You want us to bow down to you. Yeah, right. Second one, he told his brother, I have had another dream, and this time the sun, moon, and 11 stars were bowing down to me. The sun represents his dad,
Right.
the moon, his mother, and the 11 stars, obviously, his brothers. Okay? So when he tells his dad and his brothers, his dad now is the one that talks. He says, is this dream you have dreamed? Are we to come, I and your mother and your brothers, and bow low to you to the ground? Nobody interprets the dream. Everybody knows what it means. This is the first part of him interpreting dreams and having dreams that mean things. Genesis 37:18, they saw Joseph from afar, and before he came close to them, they conspired to kill him. Now, how do they know it's him?
His coat.
His coat. In the desert, it's like, wow, it's me, your favorite brother. They said, here comes that dreamer. Come now, let us kill him and throw him into one of the pits, and we can say, a savage beast devoured him, and we shall see what comes of his dreams. Now, here's where Reuben tries to save him. And then Joseph's brothers strip off his tunic and cast him into a pit without water. So he's not going to drown, but he's also going to... and then what do? Very next verse.
Sat down to eat.
They sat down to a meal. They're really bothered. No, not a bit. Now, you don't think he's in the pit just being quiet, do you?
I wouldn't think so.
Gosh, no, he's probably screaming half to death. And they don't really have any problem
He
with it.
seems so oblivious so many times. Though. He might be.
Like, sitting there pondering,
Tunic. If
why
I
am I
didn't
in the
make that
pit?
tunic, I wouldn't be wearing that tunic around.
Right? He's very proud of it because he's his dad's favorite. And that represents that he's his dad's favorite because his dad even made it for him. Now, and remember, Benjamin is born because he's 17. So Benjamin is born, and he says, this is the child of my old age. But Benjamin, no, Joseph, not Benjamin, even though he's the baby. This is interesting too. I never knew this. Judah pleads for Joseph's life and wants to sell him to the Ishmaelites, but when Midianite traders passed by, it was the Midianites who pulled Joseph up out of the pit. So says Dennis Prager. They sold Joseph for 20 pieces of silver to the Ishmaelites, and the Ishmaelites were the ones who brought Joseph to Egypt. It was the Midianites and then the Ishmaelites who sold Joseph into slavery, not the brothers. The brothers simply left him in the pit. Joseph, however, apparently believed his brothers had sold him into slavery. These Midianite traders may be viewed as Joseph's good luck or as messengers sent by God to save Joseph from dying in the pit. But the Torah narrative clearly sees the hand of God. So whether it was the brothers or it was the Midianites, God was using them to get Joseph to Egypt.
And his
Then-
dreams were true. Nothing was going to thwart that.
They always
It's
came out.
Still the providence of God.
Good
They
point.
mocked it, tried to end him, and it wasn't going to happen. We'll see what happens to his dreams now.
Right?
But God's in control.
But God was totally in control. And Joseph didn't even know that that was awaiting him. He had no idea what did that mean they were going to bow down to him. Well, in a 17-year-old's mind, that could be a whole lot different than what actually came about. Finally, my brothers will like me. Not till much later. So they took Joseph's tunic, because remember they'd already pulled it off of him before they put him in the pit. Slaughtered a kid and dipped the tunic in the blood. Joseph, Genesis 40 is the whole story about him being in charge of prison and interprets the dream for the cupbearer and the baker. One dies, one gets to live. So again, he's having it. These guys have the dream, and he interprets it. He just totally knows exactly what's going to happen. God enabled him to do that. And then he stays in jail for a very long time before the baker, the cupbearer goes, oh yeah, I remember this guy, that interpreted my dream, and it was absolutely true. So he brings him up. So that was quite a while he was still there. Jacob's blessing is Genesis 48:5. Now your 2 sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came to you in Egypt, shall be mine. Ephraim and Manasseh shall be mine, no less than Reuben and Simeon. So Jacob takes them as his children. But the 48:6, progeny born to you after them shall be yours. They shall be recorded instead of their brothers in their inheritance. If Joseph has any more children, they will be Joseph's children, but they will not be considered Jacob's. Only Ephraim and Manasseh will be considered Jacob's. So that makes more sense, because I always wondered, how come Joseph's sons are part of the 12 tribes? It should be Joseph. But this is why. Now we know why. Then, when Jacob is blessing them, he crosses his hands. So the older doesn't get the firstborn blessing. The younger does. Because when we say Ephraim and Manasseh, we usually go Ephraim and Manasseh, but Manasseh was born first. We should say Manasseh and Ephraim, but we never do. We always start with Ephraim. Why? Because that's how he blessed them. He crossed his hands. He knew exactly what he was doing, even though Jacob was getting very blind. 48:14 says, Israel stretched out his right hand and laid it on Ephraim's head, though he was the younger, and his left hand on Manasseh's hand, thus crossing his hands, although Manasseh was the firstborn. And he blessed Joseph. Isn't that interesting? He's got his sons, but he's blessing Joseph. The God in whose ways my father Abraham and Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd from my birth to this day, and the angel who has redeemed me from all harm, bless the lads. Isn't that sweet? Bless the lads. In them may my name be recalled, and the names of my fathers Abraham and Isaac, and may they be teeming multitudes upon the earth. Well, we've seen Manasseh's land, so that definitely happened. And Joseph thinks he's making a mistake. So he took his father's hand to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's. Because, he's old, he's about to die, he's blind, so he thinks, you kind of mixed up. Not so, father, Joseph said to his father, for the other is the firstborn. Place your right hand on his head. But Jacob objected, saying, I know, my son, I know. He too shall become a people, and he too shall be great. Yet his younger brother shall be greater than he, and his offspring shall be plentiful enough for nations. Genesis 48:20 said, By you shall Israel invoke blessings, saying, God, make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. Thus he put Ephraim before Manasseh, and that's how we refer to them evermore. Exodus 13:19, Moses took with him the bones of Joseph from Egypt. Why did Joseph not want to be born in Egypt? That's where most of his life was spent.
He wanted to return to the land of his fathers. He wanted to be taken to the land that God promised.
That God had promised.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't you think if you were Joseph, you would keep wondering, why am I still in Egypt? I mean, I'm prospering in Egypt. I am second only to Pharaoh, but this is not my land. And then he dies in Egypt. So he never even makes it out. Stays there the rest of his life. That was God's plan for him. Genesis 48:22, part again of Jacob's blessing. And now I assign to you one portion more than to your brothers. Because again, he has Ephraim and Manasseh. So he has 2 portions instead of 1. And Moses took the bones. Okay, Ephraim numbered 40,500. Manasseh numbered 32,200. So far, the numbers bear out what Jacob said. Here's the spy from the tribe of Ephraim. Who is that? Joshua. Good report, yay! His name is Hoshea, but it is also Joshua, son of Nun, and he brought a good report. Spy from the tribe of Manasseh. Gadi, the son of Susi, who brought a bad report. So brothers were opposite of each other. One saw one thing, one saw another. This is very cool for us women. Now, yeah, I'll leave that up there. You have the sons of Manasseh, and then the sons of Gilead, and then the son of Zelophehad. He didn't have any sons. He only had daughters. His daughters were, and they named 5. Now, jump to Numbers 27:4. The daughters of Zelophehad asked for land as a possession, since their father had no sons. Because what are they supposed to do? This goes way back to widowhood, too. The widow, if that tribe didn't take care of her, she was destitute. She could really starve to death. She had no way of making any single money. She was in a world of hurt. Now, these 5 daughters go, Daddy didn't get any land because he only had us. This is going to be a problem. Because of them, there was actually an institute said that land was transferred to daughters if there was no sons. But because they stepped up, that became law of the land. The kingdom of Sihon and Og, again, was given to the half-tribe of Manasseh, Gad, and Reuben. Numbers 36:1-8. These daughters of Zelophehad must marry within the family of the tribe of their father. Otherwise, their land goes back. Thus, no inheritance shall be transferred from one tribe to another tribe, for the sons of Israel shall each hold to his own inheritance. Now, does that make you think of the land within Judah? Because, they were assigned land within Judah because Judah had too much. No, because that was the land they were assigned. It's not Judah's anymore. It's theirs. Okay? So the daughters of Zelophehad married their uncle's sons. That way they stayed within the tribe and everybody gets the land and they're still within the rules. The tribe of Joseph, so Ephraim and Manasseh, stand on Mount Gerizim to bless the people. Then you have Moses' blessing, which I don't think I need to read. Deuteronomy 33:17. Those are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and these are the thousands of Manasseh. So just like Jacob said. The sons of Joseph were 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim, and they did not give a portion to the Levites of the land, except cities to live in, with their pasture lands for their livestock and for their property. That's a very interesting fact. Everybody gave land to the Levites. Everybody, but not Joseph. And again, he's not ridiculed for it. It's like, this is the way it's supposed to happen. Joshua 17:1. The lot for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was the firstborn of Joseph, to Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh, the father of Gilead, was allotted Gilead and Bashan because he was a man of war. We're going to come back to that guy's name, Bashan. And then the rest of the sons, here we go again. We're going to get into that, Joshua 17:12. But the sons of Manasseh could not take possession of their cities because the Canaanites persisted in living in that land. What does that mean? Do you ever have a kid that just persistently does this and does this? No matter what you do, he's going to do it. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's going to do. Sounds like the Canaanites are like that, but in a different way. Maybe you can fight them, but they just keep coming back. And then there's more and more. And they keep coming back, and so Manasseh gives up. And then they say, oh, let us take this, let us take that. And Joshua says, but you're a powerful people. You can go in there and take it. He had no patience for them whatsoever. because they wanted to go further up and just clear out this land, so let us just live in here and we can clear out the forest. Well, clearing out a forest takes a whole lot of strength. He says, you're right, you're a great and powerful people. So go take the land, which they did not. Joshua 24:30, Joshua is buried in the hill country of Ephraim. Judges 1:27, again, Manasseh did not take possession of Beth Jahan. And if you've ever been to Beth Jahan, that is beautiful, gorgeous land. And they didn't take it. Or Megiddo. Never been to Megiddo. Never know about Megiddo. They did not take it. So the Canaanites persisted in living that land. Ephraim did not drive out the Canaanites, so he's just like his brother. Judges 1:35 says, but when the power of the house of Joseph grew strong, the Amorites became forced slavers, so they made Amorites their slave. 1 Kings 11:28, Solomon appointed Jeroboam, this is Jeroboam, son of Nebat, a valiant warrior and industrious. He was over all the forced labor of the house of Joseph. He later became a wicked ruler of the 10 tribes of Israel. Reuben's birthright was given to the sons of Joseph. Because Reuben, right, firstborn, didn't get it. So the next guy got it. No, the 11th son got firstborn birthright. That's unheard of. Zechariah, I will save the house of Joseph and I will bring them back. And Hebrews 11:22, he's mentioned in the Hall of Faith. By faith, Joseph, when he was dying, made mention of the exodus of the sons of Israel and gave orders concerning his bones. Why does that institute faith? Why is that decided that that's faith?
Because he knew God's word. He knew that they would go into captivity. He knew they would commit
Even with all
because
the
this is
riches.
all prior.
Yeah,
he was
riches.
rich and had all this
Yeah.
livestock and all this land and everything, but he still wasn't content in Egypt. He still wanted to go to the land God promised. So he still was,
Right.
his focus was on higher things, not on earth.
Isn't that great? What an example. It's like, even when I die, I know you will get into the land. So when you get into the land, you take my bones with you. That is faith. That's huge faith. He never saw it ever happen, but knew it would happen. And of the tribe of Manasseh, there are 12,000. Then you go of the tribe of Joseph, there's 12,000, not Ephraim. Just things that make you go, why is that? So, Joseph is a fruitful vine, so this is wheat. So you get the wheat, blowing in the wind. Sheaf of grain and the grapevine are their symbols. That's just the same stream, okay? Right. Yes, I love that. Manasseh and Ephraim are here, so we could say Joseph and Benjamin are right next to each other. They're all over there on the west side. They're together when they camp. Agate and zircon. So that's what's on the ephod. There's 2 separate stones on the ephod for Ephraim and Manasseh. Okay. How can that be when it's purple? Did it go away? Okay, so obviously Manasseh. Half's on one side, half's on the other, and Ephraim. So, but Bethel was there. Bethel. That was pretty important. Right, where Abraham built an altar and where God confirmed to Abraham covenant with Jacob. So that's pretty important. Deborah's from Joseph, the prophet Samuel, Joshua, and Jeroboam are all from there. Now we get to the last story. Benjamin. On their way to Ephrath. Now, what does that make you think of? Something of Ephrathah. Remember that city? Bethlehem of Ephrathah. Who's in Bethlehem? Why is Bethlehem important? Right? This is Benjamin. On their way to Ephrath, or Ephratah, Rachel went into hard labor, and she breathed her last, for she was dying. And she named him Ben-Oni, or Onai, but his father called him Benjamin. Here's the explanation. Ben-Oni is generally understood to mean son of mourning. Don't you want that as your name? No. He alone of Jacob's sons is born in the promised land, in Canaan. Jacob did not want his son saddled with a name that would forever remind him and those who knew him that his birth caused, or at least accompanied, his mother's death. So he changed it to Benjamin. She was buried on the road to Ephrath, now Bethlehem. So who's going to pass her grave on the way to Bethlehem? Mary and Joseph. I'm like, oh my gosh. Joseph singles Benjamin out as his brother when all the brothers come back. Okay? Why do you think Joseph would do that? Same mother, right. They're two boys of their father's old age. Okay? Because he gives to Benjamin 300 pieces of silver and several changes of clothing. So who's now doing favoritism? Joseph is doing favoritism because it worked out so well for him. Benjamin's sons, and then Genesis 49:29, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. Okay, so this is his symbol. He's a wolf. In the morning, he consumes the foe, and in the evening, he divides the spoil. Numbers 13:9, this is the bad report from the tribe of Benjamin, is Palti, the son of Raphu. Deuteronomy 27:12, they're assigned Mount Gerizim to bless the people. This was that's Moses' blessing. Deuteronomy 33:12, may the beloved of the Lord dwell in security by him who shields him all the day, and he dwells between his shoulders. What a sweet blessing. Joshua 21, Kohathites are given cities in Benjamin. Judges 1:21, the sons of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. So the Jebusites have lived with the sons of Benjamin to this day. Deborah's song, following you, Benjamin, with your peoples, from Maker commanders come down. Gibeah is not good. That's the city in Benjamin where the man's concubine was raped by evil men. Then he takes his concubine, chops her up in 12 pieces, and he sends them out to all the tribes. What does that do to the tribes? We're having war. So this is civil war. And we're going after Benjamin, the whole tribe. The sons of Benjamin. Now remember, you have, Judges 20 says you've got 400,000 foot soldiers are at Mizpah, ready for war to go down to Benjamin. And the sons of Benjamin would not listen to the voice of their brothers, the sons of Israel. Joshua 20:14, now they keep asking the Lord, do we go after him? Do we go after him? And he goes, yes. So they readied for war, but Benjamin kills 26,000 against 400,000. I'm sorry, 26,000 against 400,000 were Benjamin against 400,000. 700 choice men. Those 700 choice men were left-handed. Each one could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. Wow, that's what I did. I'm like, a hair? They were accurate. So again, the sons of Israel go, do we go attack Benjamin? God says yes, and Benjamin kills 22,000 of them. So they come back and they're like, I don't understand. Second day, they go, okay, do we go after Benjamin? Because yes, you do. And Benjamin kills 18,000. All valiant warriors. So on the third day of battle, the Lord struck Benjamin before Israel, so that the sons of Israel destroyed 25,000 men of Benjamin that day, all who draw the sword. Then you go into Judges 21:1. The men of Israel had sworn in Mizpah, saying, none of us shall give his daughter to Benjamin in marriage, because of what happened to the concubine. So now what are they supposed to do for wives? This is a huge problem. No wives, no sons, no Benjamin going on. His tribe would stop. Judges 21:6 says, the sons of Israel were sorry for their brother Benjamin and said, one tribe is cut off from Israel today. What shall we do for wives? And for those who are left, since we have sworn by the Lord not to give them any of our daughters in marriage. So they got wives for them from Jabesh Gilead, and Israel made peace with Benjamin. They needed more wives, so more wives were provided for Benjamin, and they went back, returned to their inheritance, rebuilt the cities because they had totally burned it to the ground. Their brothers had burned everything to the ground, and they lived in them. Notice the progression, okay? They got them. You're right. We need to go back. We need to rebuild the city, and then we need to live there. Because they're not worried that Israel's going to come in and burn it to the ground again, because they've made peace. Judges 21:25. In those days there was no king in Israel. Everyone did what was right in his own eyes. Now remember the story of Eli and Hophni and Phinehas, who were wicked sons who served as priests. A man from Benjamin was the one who brought news of the ark that had gotten into the hands of the Philistines, and the news that Hophni and Phinehas were dead. So it was a man from Benjamin that came there. Now they're going to get a king. 1 Samuel 9:2 says, Saul was a Benjamite, a mighty man of valor. So the largest tribe is Judah, the smallest tribe is Benjamin. Okay? Right, so he's the wolf. That's his symbol. Reconciles with his brothers. And again, we said he's with his brother, Joseph, with those tribes. The amethyst is his stone on the ephod. And then here's his lamp, right there. So this is where Saul comes from. And of the whole Israel tribes, God decides he's going to get his first king from the tiniest tribe, which is Saul. And Samuel anoints him. The sons of Aaron receive cities of refuge. So you've got cities of refuge in there in Benjamin. This was another thing I have no explanation for. 1 Corinthians or Chronicles 7:6. The sons of Benjamin are three. They didn't just say the sons of Benjamin. It says the sons of Benjamin are three, and then they name the three. Then you go down to 1 Chronicles 8:1-2. Benjamin became the father of Bela, his firstborn. They name it firstborn. Then they name Ashbel the second, Ahara the third, and it should stop there. No, Noah the fourth, and Rapha the fifth. Maybe at that time he had three, and then he got two more. I don't know. Saul's kinsmen, Benjamites. Saul's kinsmen come over to help David gather the kingdom. So they defected. They were equipped with bows, using both the right hand and the left to sling stones and to shoot arrows from the bow. Why do you think?
Why is that important to mention it?
Why is that?
Left and right hand, you know?
Because of the skill.
I understand that, but right hand and left hand, the same skill.
I don't know if in Jewish culture, right hand is more blessed than the left, they think.
Well, they use the right hand to bless the
blessing.
firstborn, so there must be some significance there.
That's true. And God always says, you're at my right hand.
And still today, when you think about somebody who's ambidextrous, it's unusual.
It is unusual. Yeah, my
They're-
dad would do some things with his left, some things with his right.
But they're equally capable of doing the same thing with either hand.
That's
Because
very
being able to
unique.
do one thing with one hand and one with the other, that makes a little bit more sense. But to be able to write equally well with left hand or right hand,
I don't know anybody that can do that.
yeah,
I don't know anybody that can do that. You're either left-handed or you're right-handed.
right.
But to be able to pull back and be accurate,
either way, it's huge.
Well, I did lessons over the summer, archery lessons.
Oh, fun.
And it's actually not which handed you are as far as writing and stuff, it's which eye you are, is which side you use for archery. Because you have one eye that's more dominant than the other one, so when you're aiming, you want the eye that's more dominant to be the one closer to the bow,
So you hit the
because
target.
that's how you actually aim. So it's actually not which handed. That I actually did better left-handed with archery because anyway,
How about
it's
that?
about which eye is more dominant.
Isn't that something?
So you can think about, I think about like baseball.
Yeah,
Batters that can bat either way.
either way.
Are a more valuable player because in different situations, depending on the pitchers, you have an advantage one way or the other.
I wish
So
we
I
had
would
all
assume in battle with the
Yeah.
way
Yeah.
they did formations and things like that,
Oh,
if somebody
yeah.
could go either way, that gives them more flexibility in how they would attack someone.
No
and things like
disadvantage.
that.
Yeah.
That's very
And you
true.
have blind spot with, because when you're doing bow and arrow, you're having to turn your back a certain way. So you could be able to like not have a blind spot as bad. If they're
Right.
always shooting this way, you know if you come up this way, you're going to be
Oh,
able
that's
to
a
stick
good
in.
point. That's a good point.
That's the same way with the rifle.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Which, of course, wasn't invented by then, but still. Now, Joab, David tells Joab to go out and number the people. And this is just an abhorrent thing for Joab to do. It's like, we are not supposed to number the people. And I kept thinking, I know the king is not supposed to number the people, but why was that? What was the original promise to Abraham? I will make your people like
The sands of the sea, too numerous to count.
too numerous to count. They knew that, but David said, go out and count the people. So what's he putting his trust in?
His army.
His army, and not the Lord. And Joab counts, but when he gets to Benjamin and Judah, I can't do it anymore. And he goes back to David and says, I can't. What you've asked me to do is abhorrent to the Lord. I've counted these. I will not count Judah and Benjamin because this thing is detestable. So he doesn't. Yeah, 2 Chronicles 11:1. Rehoboam assembles. Now, Rehoboam is Solomon's son. Okay? Jeroboam is the commander of the army. Rehoboam should be the king of the whole kingdom, but the kingdom divides here. Assembles the house of Judah and Benjamin to fight for the kingdom, but God tells them not to fight their brothers, for this thing is from me. So they don't go fight. Asa, 2 Chronicles 15:8, removes the idols from Benjamin. Do you remember when Jeroboam set up an idol? The temple. He set one up in blank and one in, remember they set it up in Dan, way top, okay? So, who was used to having idol worship? They welcomed it. Dan was. Evidently, so was Benjamin. Because Asa comes and removes the idols from Benjamin. Heads of households, this is in Ezekiel, of Benjamin, rose up and went to rebuild the house of the Lord in Jerusalem. So they supported Ezekiel when he went back. Ezekiel 10:10, they were guilty of marrying foreign wives. Jeremiah is beaten and put in stocks at Benjamin's upper gate. That can't be a good thing. Paul was from the tribe of Benjamin. And they are mentioned in Revelation. There was somebody else that they had up here. Oh, Queen Esther's cousin Mordecai. That was cool. He was from the tiniest tribe. And who saved such a time as this for Esther? It was like, wow. The prophet Jeremiah was also from Benjamin. So I just thought, I had forgotten who was from what tribe. That was very cool. Paul was from the smallest tribe, and he wrote most of the New Testament. Amazing. Amazing how God uses them. So these are the tribes we're going to get into now, and Joshua's going to say, now you go take this land, and you go take your land, and you go take their land. And do you notice who is not mentioned in here? Because there's only 2 guys living before they came out.
Caleb.
Where's Caleb?
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't even mention him, I don't think, unless my memory has escaped me, of him as going as a spy. What tribe was he from? I haven't answered that for myself yet. I'm like, oh yeah, Joshua the spy. He was a good spy. I don't remember writing good spy, except for Joshua. So I'm like, did I miss it? Did I forget it from last
Sure, it
week?
was last week.
Forgot
I
it.
think
It
you
was
said
last week.
So where's Caleb from?
Numbers 14, 26.
Google
You said it
that.
last week, and I remember thinking it, and I don't remember. Was it Judah? No.
Was he from the huge tribe?
Ask your phone.
That's what she's doing.
Ask your phone
Wait,
quick,
easier.
'cause
Try
I'm
to
not
Judah.
gonna find- Yeah.
Okay, so good report comes from Judah and good report comes from,
I know you said last week, so yeah, Judah.
look at that. Biggest tribe, smallest tribe, they get the good report. Everybody else, you can't go do that. That's, again, another little, kind of thing.
Bigger
Number
doesn't mean
13
better.
says-
Bigger doesn't mean better. Yeah. Say that again?
Numbers 13:6.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, because I was like, well, there's 2 reports that he was a spy, so where's Caleb from? Okay, and some of you have started your study? Did you say that? That's a good thing. No, when you looked at it, you went, oh my gosh. Sometimes I really think the first lesson should always be given 2 weeks, but it isn't, as far as their concern as planning is concerned. But anyway.
I've always wondered that too.
Yeah, because there's so much to get into, and so much to pull here, pull there, pull there.
There's so many rabbit trails you want to go on.
Yes!
I had a lot of times I was like, yeah, no, not chasing that.
Same thing.
There's
Stop
a rabbit
myself.
there.
Who knows? It's like maybe one day at a time. Maybe one day at a time.
And you know what? I was listening to Swindoll this morning coming here, and he's teaching people how to study their Bible. So he does give observation, and then he talks about interpretation, but he throws in one more, correlation. I'm like, now I like that before you do interpretation, because correlation is, what does it say every place else about that? I'm like, which includes an observation, but I'm like, I like the name of that, correlation, because it correlates with everything else in Scripture. So,
And you know, we don't get a whole lot of that unless you
you don't.
detail study,
You don't.
which most people don't get.
Right, right. So, anyway, I thought, oh, that's the first time I've ever heard that. But anyway, anybody have anything they want to add? Because I told you you'd get out by 11,
I
so.
want one of those sheets.
Oh, you don't have one?
No.
Where did I put it?
She came in late.
I'll give
She
you
had us
one.
all worried.
I need one also.
Do you need one too? All right. Well, you guys are free to go. Again, always